All right, wonderful people of the universe. Dave here with Affordable Door and Gates. As a disclaimer, as always, I always try to tell you guys, if you guys got really good questions or anything, try to hit me up email. The comments don't work so good on my phone. I don't even get like any, which might be a good thing because sometimes you get a couple in there that typically are not the nicest people. So, anyways, let's go through this. Let's talk about this. The things about in the business. And like I said, I try to do this more or less as like, not pity me, not whine on me, because it's always one of those things. It's 100% me. It's always 100% my fault. It's always my situation, right? We all do it, right? We all have to take our own ownership. But I like doing these because I think they're just good mind opening things, right? Like it opens up your mind. Like when sometimes you have that person in your life that says something that you just go, oh, I never even thought about that. So anyways, typical situation. It's a Friday, right? I totally understand, right? So I got this guy getting picked up, the old skidster. And I kind of said before why I don't do the trailer and stuff anymore. I don't use it enough. It sits in the field, it gets mouse chewed, it sits and it weathers. There's just all these times you got to take care of the tires. They get flat spots, they get bulges in them, the beads break. So now I'm waiting for the tow truck company, right? Not the end of the world, because now I get to make a video for you guys, because I basically got 45 minutes of nothing to do. So I last time, right, and I already know this, right, and this is one of those things that takes like years of beating lashes, whoopsh, 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 down boy, that I anticipated them to become early, or I anticipated them to come later. Well, today I got burned. They're coming later. So beautiful here, gets up at 6 o'clock when the sun rises, right? And here we are. We are at that situation where they're not going to come. They're coming about 30 minutes or so, 20 minutes or so later. And they had a situation, right? They got a semi they're working on. 2 tow trucks have to work on. They had a cow that got hit by a police cruiser this morning. They're busy. Little bugs. But anyways, the point is that now, instead of them being early, they're late. Just ease into your day, right? I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid extra. Things to think about. Just things to think about. It happens. So we're gonna go through. We'll take some pictures and video of this job. I might have to see if I got some bug spray. Little black bugs are getting a little gnarly this morning. Once the sun comes over, they'll ain't gonna like that. Like little vampires, they're gonna run. Okay. We're gonna put a little bit of fence out here. It's not too bad. It's coming together really nice. So something I figured out yesterday. We were trying to hook these hydraulic lines up, these couplers. See if I can get you. Right here. We couldn't get those things on. We're like, man, we are struggling, man. Like we are just pushing and tugging. I got the machine off. I'm trying to dump the hydraulics on it. I'm like, what is going on? Well, come to find out, that thing's been sitting in the sun right here. This chamber here, it was building up pressure. And so it had so much pressure in it, it wouldn't relieve those couplers. So we ended up having to break one of these fittings loose. Right here. We had to break one loose, relieve the pressure. It wasn't that much. I thought it was going to do more of a squirt. And more or less just kind of dripped out a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the problem or not. But it was. Problem solved. But right now, one thing we're always challenged with, that a lot of people don't know about, is that we're challenged with the weather in our industry. You know what I mean? Whew. It's already getting warm this morning. It's been like in the 90s. And in the sun, it's probably like 110. Now, luckily, We haven't had a ton of humidity. Come here, little black bug, you will die. So one thing I've noticed in this industry is that you're hostage, right? You're hostage to the weather. That's a big thing, and it probably doesn't impact so many people that are, let's say, like an office job or wherever, work in a house, wherever it's climate control, right? But you know, the one thing I never thought about, like I said before in the past video, I think it was the pooper video, is when you're out here, I could see it on the guy's face yesterday, right? The guy that was working on me yesterday, all of a sudden he's like, I mean, we're sweating, right? We got the big hats on. I don't think I got it with me. Got the big hats to try to keep the sun off us so we don't turn cherry red. And all of a sudden he goes, I think I got to use the Porta-John. Luckily there's one on site here. That's amazing. I mean, that's normally not the situation, so that's amazing. So I said, like, number one, number two, and he's like, number two. I'm like, that ain't gonna be no fun, because you guys know, you can kind of laugh with me. When you're out in the hot, very hot weather, and you are dripping everywhere, right? Yeah, come on, you know this happens. Don't lie. Hey, my finger goes to the toilet paper sometimes too. So anyways, you know when you're in there, it's a sauna, right? It smells, it stinks of your own too. And you got to do the business, right? And I always think, like, I don't think my wife's ever experienced this. But you go to wipe, right? And you have basically a funnel, your back line, where water is dripping down where you got to wipe. And it's just like, oh my gosh, man. And especially in a Porta-John, they give you the cheap of the cheap of the cheap toilet paper as it is. So it ain't like there's a little, so you got to really water up and go to town, right? Oh man. Now you guys know I have PTSD. Now you know. These jobs, man. And that's why I always look at it for like the next generation, where I always try to tell them, it's not that you can't make a living. It's not that you can't do it. It's just what a lot of people don't see, right? In my opinion, is you're building, right? Every day. Because what happens, right? How do you, this is a good example. It's probably like, how do you call it? It's like a Ferris wheel, right? Is that a Ferris wheel? Roundabout? Whatever those things that you push around. A merry-go-round, right? I was pushing my kid on one last night. Merry-go-round, right? It takes a lot, you're, and she, Daddy, go faster, okay, how can I go fast enough? You'll go spinning off this puppy. Well, you get it going, right? And then it's got momentum, and then it's not so hard. Business, whatever you do in business is like that, right? It's a lot longer, right? It takes a real hard time to get that thing spinning. You're pulling and you're pulling and you're pulling and you're pulling. Next thing you know, it's spinning, right? And then what will happen is it'll start spinning so fast that all of a sudden, woo, there goes the kid. Woo, there goes the service vehicle. Woo, there goes the money. It's like a self-destructing wheel. It can be. And so you have to find that sweet spot, right? You got to be, you're fast enough that you're keeping things entertained, but you're not going too fast where you're throwing things off. And that's a hard balance, because you got a lot of things against you. You got laborers that are against you, and they're all good, when you got good people. But if you don't have good people, it can be a nightmare. You got vehicles, you got fuel expenses, you got insurance, you got, the list goes on. You got material problems. Somebody making noise. I thought maybe my truck was here. And so what I'm getting at is that you don't realize what you're building until you're there. And then you'll be by yourself and you'll be thinking, oh my gosh, what did I do? And like I said, this is not to bash. It's just looking back, you know, and I get this question, right? People ask me, they go, well, you know, they're asking, you know, and a lot of people don't want to think on their own. You know, they want to be told. You know, a lot of people are not leaders, they're followers. They want to be told. They're, you know, they're asking me all the time, well, what business do you recommend? You know, it really can be any business. What business makes you happy? You know, like my business, or the garage doors and gates, I enjoy the business. I don't enjoy the heartache that comes with it, right? And it's because I have years of it, and it's like a crystal ball that I can shake, and I know what it's going to say before it even pops up, because I've done it so long. But what I look at is something that's more or less either it's sustainable, something that you're doing that's, let's say, at nighttime fulfilling its orders, right? Online. It could be anything. You could sell all kinds of stuff. I look at porta-johns as even a better option, because you're setting units. Yeah, you got to clean them. They stink. You know, there's theft. They could burn. They melt. Whatever. You know, but you're setting up something. Unless, like I said, you can get into more of a preventative maintenance program, then it's not so bad. But see, what I'm trying to get at is, think about how the big guys work, right? They're always looking for subscriptions. You know what I mean? They're always looking to set you up with a plan. I started thinking about, you know, I was going to do garage doors, openers and stuff, at least openers, just to keep it simple, that we would do a payment program, right? But you have problems, you know, and you're not dealing with enough, you know, so now it comes with you more employees and stuff like that. But a payment program, or we install something and we tell them, hey, for $5 a month, you get lifetime warranty. We'll take care of it, anything. But what you're doing is you're setting up a payment program, because if you can get their credit card locked and filed, see, now you got passive income. You know what I mean? But see, the problem with contractors, what we all do, including myself, is we do a big job, right? And I think there's a concept. We do this big job, we make all this money, right? And we're like, oh my gosh, I made all this money. Well, now I got to go buy that truck. Well, now I got to go buy that piece of equipment, because now I got this money. It'll make my life easier. I won't have to deal. But then all of a sudden you start hitting a slow time. Now you got to keep making payments. So who's making out, right? Appreciate somebody. Who is it? From the UK. Who's the UK? Somebody just emailed me from the UK. It says, must be from the secretary. I just seen it come in. So thanks, UK. I don't know who it was, but from the UK. United Kingdom. Oh, I wonder if it's any better over there. Is the grass greener? So anywho, I just want you to remember that every day you're building something, right? And that thing's gonna eventually spin, and it might spin out of control. That's what my point is. And I never knew that, you know, I never thought of that. It was like you're just always looking, you know, I was very simple minded. I was looking at every day, right? And you're like, oh, I'm doing this job. Cool, I made $200. Cool, I made $400. Cool, I made $5,000. But what you sacrifice? What are you sacrificing? There's a ton of things you're sacrificing. I remember, you know, like this job here, we're not like super heavy fence guys, right? And I'm not saying, but see, here's the thing, right? You think about it and you go, well, you know, it's my fault. It's my fault. I need to get another truck, right? You need to get another truck. And I've tried this all different ways. And I mean, if you got the miracle pill, by all means, let me know. So now you either buy another truck, right? You buy another truck, you got to insure it, you got to plate it, you got to maintain it, you got to fix it, you got to do the brakes, you got to do the oil change. You know, it sits out in the weather, it's rotten, it's getting faded, the dash is cracking. And so what you do, so now that's your fence truck, right? Or whatever, right? But is it being used? Now, if you're doing fencing and you're using it, you know, 5 days out of the week or 7 days out of the week, you know, a Chinese guy one time, you know, like he was telling me one time at the shop when I used to work, he says, when is a machine 100% efficient? I don't know. And he says, when it's running all the time. But that's not the case, right? The machine is not always running all the time, because the machine breaks down or there's labor problems. So it's like, for instance, right, I got service vehicles. My service vehicles on the weekends are not making money. They're sitting there and they're decaying, right? The sun's bleaching them. They're getting, you know, the grass is growing up by them. They're getting rained on. They're getting rusty. You know, so you see what I'm saying? We're working with depreciating assets. Now, yeah, you can write it off, but it's more money and stuff, and all this stuff keeps inflating. So anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll make another video, but I'm gonna keep this one because our attention spans are like this nowadays. So, all right, peace out. I love you. Have a great day.